Welcome to Rauta's Non-Metal Reviews. I'm Jerry, and this time I'll take you in the world of rather minimal, drony, ambient-like music. This is Sonologyst from Italy with Shortwave Spectrum double CD from Cold Spring Records. This one is a peculiar case because it's not really even dark ambient and even less so anything to do with rock and roll or metal music. Nonetheless, it fits very well the scope here because me being a long time fan of drony and ambient like music as well as soundtracks, which are sometimes, but not always, often of course, something related to this stuff here. Now, as said, this is a two album release which is more than 20 tracks here explained in more details where these samples are taken from and all that stuff. And this is a little bit different than the previous Sonologyst review, album I got to do for a couple of reasons. First of all, it's a double feature, obviously, but also this time it's not so drony. It's more like, by the way, you really can't separate the album. Oh, there's number 2 and number 1. So anyway, as I was saying, this is less an ambient than the previous one I got to feature already on the channel, but still, nonetheless, very much like that. It's a haunting experience, but it's beyond that. Now let's take a quick look at the bands or artists Bandcamp site, where you get to see the various releases of the artist, and Shortwave Spectrum is right here. Now there are the tracks and the things listed here, even some reviews and stuff. We don't get to detailed into that because obviously you will get to read it later on after I babbled through this release. Now the point here is that the basic thing on this album is, of course, well, drone and dark ambient. I think it's often called isolationist or isolation, just in terms of genre of a subgenre, and that means this is very much like anti-music in so many ways. Like my kid was here yesterday with me while I was working, and she was playing and all that stuff, and she was like, "Dad, this ain't no music." And it made me the smile because I often call dark ambient and of course drone, isolation, whatever, as anti-music or un-music. The thing here is, this is the kind of music that doesn't do anything with the drum patterns or beats, if you will, has no melodies, has no singing, has no chords, whatever. So you get the idea. Not music in the classical sense of the description. So what makes this music? Because it's just noise, if you will. It's ambience. It's more like samples put into one and all that stuff. Now we could go into deep debate what music really is. Probably need to do that someday for a podcast or whatever. But I consider dark ambient, drone and the like music in its own style. But it's not for everybody. It's very much acquired taste. So what happens here is you have the kind of background noise. You have that kind of a drony spectrum of sounds, frequencies, if you will. When it all comes down to music, always boils down to frequencies in the end. We're talking about physics here. So calling it music or not, it's up to you, of course. But I find this kind of stuff very, very appealing, very interesting. Because the thing here is, it goes beyond the scope what I described, and yet at the same time I feel this kind of stuff is music, because where you have the certain kind of background stuff, sometimes it's more ambient, like more like sonic patterns, if you will. Sometimes it's those drony pulses or humming or buzzing sound and all that stuff. For me, it's music anyway. So with this album, you have also those spoken parts, which are, I think, shortwave radio frequencies, and they all have stories to be told, like during Cold War and beyond. Sometimes it's almost like you're capturing some kind of a flight correspondence. You know, for example, there might be UFO sightings and whatever, and then these spoken parts are like giving those number codes or code words in order to deliver a message that needs to be encrypted, but it's not right away like that. So it might be like 3, 5, 4, 5, 6, 9, 0, 9er, and all that stuff, and you're like, whatever is they're talking. It's kind of a haunting experience. But then again, it's also, dependent how your imagination works. Sometimes less is more, and it's more haunting with the all kinds of haunted house scenarios and whatnot when you know less. If they were just, going down a shopping list or something like that, it would be way more boring. Now that the less you know, it kind of gives you a little bit creepy feeling, like whatever they're describing, you don't get to know it right away, but it's more like codes and patterns, repeated one after another with the background stuff, which is sometimes really humming, really buzzing, but kind of ambient in the first place. I will tell you this much though, I must say the first CD here is a little bit better than the second one, and the overall length is around 90 minutes, while it's split into two parts. It's not for everybody, not in terms of dark ambient, because it's something different. But those who think noise is too much, power electronics is too noisy and all that stuff, but want to go dark ambient and kind of beyond, in a way, field recordings and what have you, might find this one really fascinating. I think it's fascinating release, but at the same time, I'm gonna say it's really, really acquired taste. Even more in a way than your typical, more musical dark ambient ones, especially if you're thinking of artists like Rise and Diaz and all that stuff, which may have, keyboard parts and all that stuff, giving a little bit musical nod. This is less musical, more like sleep research facility and the like. So those who know what these names are might find this compelling and worth checking out, but like I said, it's not for everybody. Links are, of course, or at least this particular Bandcamp link is included in the description box in case you want to check it out. And of course, go for a physical product if you're really a collector or big time fan. This is Rauta, I'm Jerry, and more non-metal reviews will follow among their metal review ones as well. Take care.